Hello there, and welcome to this quiet space where time moves softly and science becomes a lullaby. Tonight, we will wander not toward the stars but downward, into the deep and ancient heart of the earth. Beneath every step you have ever taken lies a world older than imagination. A vast memory written in stone and silence. Take a slow breath and feel the ground beneath you. It seems still, but it is alive. It moves so slowly that the motion escapes your senses. Yet the entire planet is breathing beneath you. If the earth could speak, it would whisper stories older than light. It would tell of the first fires that once glowed brighter than the sun, of continents that drifted through oceans of molten rock, and of the endless rhythm of creation and decay that has shaped everything you see. The soil beneath you carries those memories. Every grain of sand was once part of a mountain. Every rock has traveled through fire, water, and ice before coming to rest where it is now. The world remembers everything. You may imagine that the ground is lifeless, but it holds within it a quiet pulse. The crust of the planet, thinner than the peel of an apple, drifts across a deep sea of molten stone. Beneath that thin shell, heat rises and falls like breath. It pushes mountains upward, cracks continents apart, and pours fire into the oceans. It is the same heat that forged the minerals in your bones and the metal in your blood. You and the earth are made from the same cosmic dust, shaped by the same slow patience of time. If you listen carefully, you can almost hear it. The deep, steady rhythm of a world turning itself inside out through ages without end. It is the slowest heartbeat in the universe, and it has never stopped. The mountains that crown the horizon, the valleys where rivers run, and the cliffs that face the sea are not fixed monuments. They are living forms, rising and falling in cycles that take millions of years to complete. Even as you sit in stillness, the continents drift beneath you, sliding on hidden currents of heat and gravity. This is the story of geology, but it is also the story of transformation. Fire becomes stone, stone becomes dust, dust becomes life. The process is endless, and in that repetition there is beauty. The earth renews itself in silence, using pressure and time instead of hands and tools. What looks eternal is only one frame in a moving picture that has been unfolding for 4.5 billion years. Imagine standing alone in a desert at dusk. The air is warm, the light golden, and the sand beneath your feet feels almost alive. Each grain has been shaped by wind, by the slow rubbing of time against itself. You bend down, let the sand fall through your fingers, and realize that you are touching something that has existed for longer than any memory. Somewhere deep within that silence, the planet is breathing, reshaping itself grain by grain. There is peace in understanding this. The earth has endured everything: ice ages, fire, impacts from stars, the rise and fall of entire continents, and still it turns. Steady and patient, it teaches that strength does not come from speed or noise but from quiet endurance. The ground beneath you does not fight change, it becomes it. In every earthquake, every storm, every crumbling cliff, the world is simply continuing its slow conversation with time. As you listen tonight, imagine that you are sinking softly into the planet's memory. The layers of soil beneath you are like pages in a diary, each one filled with traces of heat, pressure, and life. The lowest layers remember an ocean that no longer exists. The higher ones remember forests that grew and vanished before language began. Each layer is a memory made solid, and you are resting at the surface of them all. The story of stone is not about destruction. It is about patience. Lava that once flowed like liquid light becomes granite. Forests that once whispered in the wind become coal. Seas that once shimmered under ancient suns become limestone cliffs. The Earth's work is slow, but it never stops. It creates and recreates itself with the calm certainty of something that knows it has all the time in the world. The more you learn about the ground beneath you, the more you begin to see yourself in it. The same elements that built mountains also built your body. The same pressure that forms crystals is mirrored in the quiet resilience of your heart. You are made of minerals that once burned inside stars and cooled inside the Earth's crust. You are, in a very real way, a continuation of the planet itself. So as the world outside falls silent, let yourself feel that connection. The Earth holds you in its gravity, steadies you with its breath, and carries you as it turns beneath the stars. Somewhere far below, molten rock still flows in glowing rivers, shaping the future ground. Somewhere high above, ancient starlight falls on mountains that are already changing. Between them, you rest, a living part of a living planet. Let the thought settle in your mind like soft dust. The Earth is not still. It is a quiet ocean of motion, a vast living memory that holds every story, every transformation, and every breath that has ever been. You are not separate from it. You are part of that memory, shaped by the same forces that shape the world. And tonight, as you listen, you are hearing the oldest story ever told, the story of a planet that remembers everything. Before you were born, before life took shape, before even the oceans existed, there was only fire. The newborn Earth glowed like a miniature sun, molten and brilliant, surrounded by dust and fragments left from the birth of the solar system. For millions of years, the young planet raged with storms of metal and stone falling from the sky. Each impact added more heat, melting what had already melted, folding the surface into rivers of glowing rock. It was chaos. Yet from that chaos something extraordinary began to take form. The heavy elements sank inward toward the center, drawn by gravity, creating a metallic core of iron and nickel. Above it floated the lighter silicates that would one day harden into the crust. The planet was becoming layered, organized, alive in its own quiet way. Beneath that new skin, the deep heart of molten metal began to turn, spinning faster than the world above it. That motion generated a magnetic field, an invisible shield that would one day protect life from the violent storms of space. Even then, before life existed, the planet was already building the conditions for its survival. This was the Earth's first heartbeat. It pulsed not with blood but with molten iron. The core glowed hotter than the surface of the sun, its pressure unimaginable. Waves of liquid metal swirled like slow storms, shaping an energy field that extended far into the darkness. The core has never cooled completely. Even now, billions of years later, it still burns. The fire that began at the birth of the planet continues to move under your feet, silent and unseen. Above the core lies the mantle, a vast ocean of solid rock that moves like a thick liquid when given enough time. The mantle is the engine that drives the motion of continents, the source of volcanoes and earthquakes. From it, heat rises in immense plumes, carrying minerals and gases that eventually feed the surface. The mantle is the planet's hidden circulatory system, moving more slowly than anything you can imagine yet powerful enough to reshape the face of the Earth. When you look at a volcano or a mountain range, you are seeing the pulse of that inner world. The mountains of today are the frozen waves of yesterday's molten flow. The crust, which seems so solid, floats upon this deep ocean of rock as thinly as a leaf on a lake. We stand on a film of cooled stone that shifts and bends under the weight of continents. The surface of the planet is only a momentary expression of the deeper movement below. Long ago, when the Earth's crust first began to cool, water vapor rising from the molten interior condensed into clouds. For the first time, rain fell onto stone. It fell for centuries, carving the first rivers, filling the first seas. Steam rose, cooled, and fell again, a cycle that would never stop. The heat from below and the water from above began their long dialogue. Together, they sculpted the planet into something both fierce and delicate, a world balanced between fire and water. If you could have stood there then, you would have seen a landscape unlike anything that exists now. Endless plains of black basalt stretched to the horizon. The air shimmered with heat, heavy with minerals and gas. Rivers of lava flowed beside boiling lakes. Lightning flashed in the thick atmosphere, striking the ground and fusing sand into glass. It was a world being born, and it was breathtaking. As the surface cooled, new kinds of rock began to form: granite, obsidian, basalt, each a product of pressure and temperature, each carrying within it the memory of the conditions that shaped it. Granite cooled slowly beneath the surface, forming the foundations of ancient continents. Basalt cooled quickly at the edges of volcanoes, forming the first ocean floors. Obsidian cooled in an instant, turning molten fire into black glass. These were the planet's first bones, the solid proof that even fire can learn patience. Somewhere within this fiery young world, the seeds of life were waiting. The same chemical elements forged in the hearts of ancient stars, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, began to combine in new ways. They gathered in warm pools and deep-sea vents, reacting with minerals and heat. The energy from the Earth's interior mixed with the chemistry of its surface. And from that union, the first living molecules formed. The planet's fire gave birth to its breath. The Earth's heart still beats in the same rhythm that once shaped those beginnings. Every earthquake, every eruption, every slow drift of continents is the continuation of that ancient pulse. You can feel it if you sit in silence long enough. It is in the warmth of a hot spring, the shimmer of volcanic stone, the magnetic compass that points north. All of it is evidence that the fire beneath your feet is still alive. Sometimes it rises violently, as it did when the great supervolcanoes of the past reshaped continents. Sometimes it rises gently, pushing up mountains or carrying minerals toward the surface. But whether gentle or fierce, it never stops. The same heat that once filled the newborn sky with flame now rests quietly inside the earth, turning slowly like a great wheel. This heat is not only a remnant of the planet's birth, it is constantly renewed by the decay of radioactive elements deep within the core. These natural reactions release energy that will keep the Earth's heart warm for billions of years more. That is why the planet never truly cools, why there will always be volcanoes, and why the continents will never stop their slow drift. The interior fire is the reason the surface world remains alive. Think of this when you feel the warmth of sunlight or the comfort of a steady ground. Beneath everything familiar, there is motion. Beneath the surface, there is a furnace glowing with the same energy that lights the stars. You are walking above a hidden sun, and without it, the world would fall silent. The ancient heart of the earth beats in patterns too slow for us to see. But its rhythm shapes every mountain, every wave, every breath of wind. It is the quiet power that holds oceans in their basins and raises continents toward the sky. And though we cannot hear it, it moves through us as well. The iron in our blood once flowed in molten rivers at the planet's core. The warmth of our bodies echoes the warmth of the world beneath us. Everything we are comes from that fire. Every stone, every ocean, every living thing carries its legacy. The heart of the earth is not only beneath us, it is within us. Burning softly, patiently, eternally. When the first continents began to form, they drifted like fragile rafts across glowing seas of magma. There were no trees yet, no birds or flowers, only the deep breath of the planet rising as steam through cracks in its cooling crust. The surface hardened and split again and again, each fracture releasing new heat, each eruption feeding the air with gases that would one day become the sky you breathe. These early lands were small and unstable, but they carried within them the blueprint of everything that would follow. As millions of years passed, the newborn crust thickened and grew steadier. The great cycle of creation began. Mountains rose, rains fell, rivers carried minerals to the sea, and volcanoes returned them to the air. Slowly, the crust and the mantle beneath it began a conversation that has never stopped. The mantle pushed upward, the crust responded by cracking, folding, and building mountains that reached toward the clouds. Then wind and water began their patient work, wearing those peaks back down into the sea. The earth learned balance through motion. Deep beneath the surface, magma chambers pulsed with life. They filled and emptied like hearts of stone, releasing their heat through vents and fissures. These chambers connected to one another through unseen tunnels, forming vast networks of molten rivers that moved with the grace of something alive. Over time, the upper layers cooled and solidified, creating granite bodies that would one day become the backbone of continents. Even now, when you stand on ancient bedrock, you are standing on the cooled remains of those fiery rivers that once glowed beneath the planet's newborn crust. In those days, the Earth's atmosphere was thick with carbon dioxide, methane, and ammonia. Lightning flashed across heavy clouds, striking the surface again and again. Each bolt carried the energy to spark chemical reactions that created the first organic compounds, the building blocks of life. In warm pools along the edges of volcanic shores, these molecules gathered, forming chains that could store and release energy. The same fire that had once threatened to consume everything now offered the first light of life. When the first oceans expanded, they filled with minerals leached from the land. Iron and silica, washed from volcanic rock, turned the seas green and cloudy. Underwater volcanoes released gases and metals that reacted with the new seawater, forming strange crystalline structures that shimmered like living coral. Around deep hydrothermal vents, life may have begun its first experiments, tiny cells feeding on chemical energy in the dark. Those early organisms were blind and simple, but they were the first to sense the planet's heat as nourishment rather than danger. Over time, the oceans became the Earth's lungs, breathing in carbon and exhaling oxygen through slow reactions of water, stone, and light. Cyanobacteria evolved and learned to capture sunlight, releasing oxygen into the air. The planet began to change color. The orange haze that once covered the skies turned blue, and the oceans deepened to their familiar shade. The air grew clearer, and the ground grew quieter. The fiery world was learning calm. Beneath this calm surface, the ancient heart still beat. The core churned with molten metal, spinning faster than the world above. This movement generated the magnetic field that still surrounds you, shielding the planet from the solar wind. Without it, the atmosphere would have been stripped away long ago, and the seas would have boiled under the naked sun. The Earth's invisible heart has been protecting life since the moment it began. As the interior continued to cool, convection currents formed in the mantle. Hot rock rose, cool rock sank, and the great engine of plate tectonics began. The crust cracked into immense plates that moved slowly over the molten layer below. They collided, pulling ocean floors under mountains, and split apart to open new seas. Every motion, no matter how small, was part of the same rhythm that began when the planet was young. This is why even now, continents drift, mountains rise, and the ground occasionally shakes beneath your feet. You are feeling the breath of that ancient heart. Sometimes this breath is gentle, as when warm springs rise from the depths and fill quiet valleys with mist. Sometimes it is fierce, as when a volcano erupts and spills glowing rivers of magma into the sea. Yet even in destruction there is purpose. The minerals that enrich the soil, the gases that fill the air, the heat that stirs the winds, all come from the same fire. The Earth's core is a forge that never sleeps, turning raw elements into the materials that make life possible. In the deep past, there were moments when the heart of the planet beat too loudly. Immense volcanic events called flood basalts covered whole regions with molten rock for hundreds of thousands of years. These eruptions reshaped continents and changed the chemistry of the atmosphere. Some triggered mass extinctions, but in the wake of each catastrophe came renewal. Forests regrew, oceans refilled, and new species emerged from the ashes. Through every cycle, the Earth continued to breathe. It never rushed, it never despaired, it only transformed. To understand this ancient heart is to understand the meaning of endurance. The Earth has carried its fire for more than 4 billion years without exhaustion. Its inner heat is not only a memory of creation but a continuous act of renewal. Radioactive decay deep within the core feeds that warmth, releasing energy grain by grain, atom by atom, in a rhythm that matches the slow turn of the planet itself. This energy rises through the mantle, escapes through volcanoes, and is returned again through the endless recycling of crust and stone. The process is delicate, balanced, and unstoppable. If you could see the world from space over geological time, you would watch continents drift like petals on a pond. You would see mountains bloom and fade, oceans appear and vanish, and the thin crust of the Earth glow faintly at its edges where new land is born. It would look like a living organism renewing its skin. The heartbeat at its center would never pause. When you stand on the ground, try to imagine the distance between you and the Earth's core. Beneath your feet lies thousands of kilometers of stone, each layer hotter and denser than the last, until finally the pressure becomes so immense that atoms fuse together in crystalline order. Down there, where the metal is half solid and half liquid, the Earth is constantly turning. It moves the same way a human heart moves blood, sending invisible energy outward through magnetic fields that wrap the entire planet. You cannot feel it directly, but you live within it every moment. Even now, scientists study the vibrations of earthquakes to map the hidden structure of this interior world. They send waves of sound into the planet and listen to their echoes, tracing how they bend and slow through layers of rock and molten metal. From those echoes, we know that the inner core spins slightly faster than the rest of the planet, completing one extra rotation every few years. The heart of the world moves ahead of its surface, as though leading the rhythm of everything above. If you hold a piece of volcanic rock in your hand, you are holding a message from that heart. Its color, texture, and density tell the story of the journey it made, from molten depths to open air, from fire to solid form. Some of these rocks still contain tiny bubbles of gas trapped since the dawn of time. Fragments of the first atmosphere that ever touched the planet's surface. Within them, the Earth speaks. You only need to listen. Every mountain range, every island, every drop of water owes its existence to that same hidden engine. The planet is not a cold rock spinning through space but a living sphere powered by an ancient fire. That fire connects you to everything that has ever lived. Because the warmth you feel within your own body is an echo of it. The same forces that shaped mountains shaped your bones. The same elements that flow in the mantle flow in your blood. The heart of the earth beats in you too. When night falls and the world grows quiet, remember that beneath your home, beneath the seas, beneath every forest and desert, the ancient heart still turns. It moves without rest, but without hurry, in the perfect balance of creation. And as long as it burns, the planet will remain alive. The warmth beneath you is the same warmth that once forged the first mountains. The same warmth that one day will raise new ones. It is the eternal rhythm of the world. Slow, patient, and full of grace. The ground beneath you feels steady. Yet it is always moving. If you could rise above the planet and watch from the silence of space, you would see the continents drifting slowly across the face of the earth like enormous rafts carried by invisible tides. The surface of our world is not solid in the way it seems. It is a thin, fragile skin floating upon deeper layers of molten stone. A living mosaic of plates that shift and collide in a rhythm older than life itself. Each of these plates is immense. Some carry entire continents. Others lie hidden beneath the oceans. They move only a few centimeters each year. Slower than your fingernails grow. Yet over millions of years these small movements redraw the map of the planet. Mountains rise where plates collide. Valleys open where they separate. And deep trenches form where one slides beneath another. The land we know today is only one moment in an endless dance. The motion of these plates is driven by heat from the Earth's interior. As the mantle circulates, hot rock rises while cooler rock sinks, creating a slow churning that pulls the crust along its surface. It is as though the planet breathes through stone, inhaling and exhaling continents. Every earthquake, every eruption, every tremor under the sea is part of that single motion, the planet's way of balancing itself. The Himalayas exist because of this movement. 50 million years ago, the land that is now India began drifting northward across an ancient ocean and collided with Asia. The impact was so immense that the crust crumpled and folded upward into the highest mountains on Earth. Even now, those peaks continue to rise by a few millimeters each year. When you look at the snow on Everest, you are seeing the frozen crest of a collision that is still happening. The mountain breathes so slowly that only time itself can see it. The Atlantic Ocean, by contrast, widens each year as the plates on either side drift apart. Along the mid-Atlantic ridge, new crust is born from molten rock that rises from the mantle and cools in the open sea. From that hidden line of creation, the ocean floor spreads outward like the pages of an ever-growing book. The continents on either side, Africa and the Americas, move away from each other, carried by the steady flow of stone below. Every wave that rolls upon the shore is a ripple in a story of movement that began long before there were humans to name the seas. Under the Pacific, the story is different. There, the crust sinks back into the mantle, melting into the fire from which it came. The edges of that ocean are rimmed with volcanoes and deep trenches. The scars of a vast recycling system that has shaped the Earth for billions of years. Japan, New Zealand, and the west coast of the Americas all lie along this ring of creation and destruction. The ground trembles there not because it is unstable, but because it is alive. When you stand on land, you are standing on a traveler. The soil beneath you once rested beneath an ancient ocean or a vanished mountain range. The rocks that form your hillsides may have crossed entire hemispheres. Fossils found on separate continents match perfectly because those continents were once joined. The planet itself carries the memory of its wanderings in every layer of stone. This slow drifting has changed more than geography. It has changed the climate, the shape of the oceans, and even the flow of life. When continents split apart, they isolate species that evolve along separate paths. When they join again, those species meet, compete, and blend in new ways. The diversity of life on Earth, the very patterns of evolution, have been guided by the planet's moving skin. Geology and biology are two sides of the same heartbeat. If you could speed up time, you would see continents glide and collide like clouds. Oceans would open and close in slow pulses. Mountains would rise and crumble, their peaks worn down by rain and wind only to be lifted once more. Volcanoes would appear like sparks and fade into the sea. The planet's surface would ripple and flow as gracefully as water, changing shape in a rhythm that has never ceased. To live on Earth is to live upon motion. The stillness you feel beneath your feet is only an illusion of time. The ground is a traveler, and you are traveling with it, carried silently across the mantle's slow tides. Every city, every forest, every ocean moves together, unaware of the journey, yet the evidence is written everywhere, in the folded layers of mountains, in the mirror image coastlines of distant continents, in the magnetic stripes frozen into the seafloor. The planet is not fixed. It is a restless wanderer that has never stopped remaking itself. Sometimes this motion expresses itself in sudden ways. When tension builds between plates, it releases as earthquakes, shaking the ground with the stored energy of years. In those moments, the Earth reminds us that solidity is only an illusion, that we live upon something that bends and breathes. But even in those brief flashes of violence, the motion is creative. New landscapes emerge, rivers change course, and mountains grow higher. From destruction comes renewal, and from movement comes life. The movement of the crust also carries water and gases deep into the mantle, where they melt rock and feed volcanoes. When those volcanoes erupt, they release the same elements back into the air and oceans. This exchange keeps the planet's chemistry in balance. The oxygen you breathe, the minerals that nourish forests, even the carbon that warms the atmosphere, all are parts of this long conversation between surface and depth. The planet speaks through stone, and its language is change. There are places where this motion can be seen with your own eyes. In Iceland, the ground splits open along a line that marks the divide between two drifting plates. You can walk through the rift, where new crust is forming beneath your feet. Steam rises from the cracks, carrying the scent of minerals and the warmth of the deep earth. It is one of the few places on the planet where you can stand inside the process of creation itself. Elsewhere, the motion is quieter but no less powerful. In East Africa, the land is stretching and thinning, forming a great rift that may one day become a new ocean. Lakes such as Tanganyika and Malawi fill the growing valley, reflecting the sky where the continent's future sea will be. To stand there is to witness the birth of geography, a slow unfolding written in heat and pressure. The Earth is not done creating. It never will be. Over vast spans of time, continents have gathered into supercontinents and broken apart again. Each cycle reshapes the planet's face and sets the stage for new eras of life. The world you know now is only a temporary arrangement. Millions of years from today, the continents will meet again, forming a new single landmass surrounded by a new ocean. The process will be as quiet and patient as ever, guided by the same ancient forces that began when the Earth was young. When you look at a map, you are seeing a momentary reflection of motion, a still frame in a film that has no end. Beneath that image lies a slow choreography of fire and gravity, moving everything you see. Even the mountains you think of as eternal are part of that flow. They are the wrinkles on the planet's skin, forming and smoothing as it breathes through time. If you close your eyes and imagine the planet as a living being, its crust is the skin, its mantle the flesh, and its core the beating heart. Every tremor, every eruption, every shift of land is part of its metabolism. It grows, it sheds, it heals. The continents are not separate from the Earth's body but extensions of its energy, carried wherever the current of heat decides to go. We measure time in days and years, but the Earth measures it in movements. The distance between two continents, the height of a mountain, the depth of an ocean, these are its calendars. To understand geology is to learn a new sense of time, one where change is the only constant and patience is the greatest force of all. The moving skin of the Earth is a reminder that stability is only a momentary illusion. Beneath every forest, every desert, every city, the world is shifting, breathing, and becoming something new. You walk upon a miracle of motion, carried across ages by a planet that refuses to rest. And as it moves, it carries your story with it, your footprints pressed into dust that will one day turn to stone. Your breath mixing with the wind that shapes mountains yet to come. The Earth moves slowly, but it remembers everything. The continents that now seem so far apart were once joined together in a single landmass called Pangaea. It stretched from pole to pole, surrounded by one vast ocean. Over millions of years, the slow push of the mantle beneath tore it apart, opening the Atlantic and sending the continents drifting into the arrangement we know today. Fossils of identical plants and creatures found on opposite sides of the ocean are the silent evidence of that ancient unity. Every mountain, every valley, every coastline carries a record of these migrations. The rocks remember collisions and separations as clearly as a diary remembers its writer's thoughts. In the high cliffs of Norway and Scotland, identical layers of stone face each other across the sea, proof that the two lands were once one. Even now, as the waves crash below, those cliffs are still moving, carried apart by a process so slow that only time itself can measure it. Where plates collide, mountains rise like wrinkles on the planet's skin. In the Andes, the Nazca Plate slides beneath South America, pushing the crust upward into peaks that pierce the clouds. Each tremor there is the sound of continents reshaping themselves. Where plates pull apart, like in the Rift Valley of Africa, the ground stretches and thins, creating deep lakes that will one day become oceans. These are the moments when you can almost see the Earth breathing, inhaling and exhaling land. The ocean floors are younger than the continents because they are constantly being remade. Along the mid-ocean ridges, molten rock rises, cools, and spreads outward. As it moves, it records the direction of the Earth's magnetic field in alternating bands of mineral alignment. These stripes, stretching for thousands of kilometers, are like fingerprints of the planet's invisible heartbeat. They reveal not chaos but perfect order, the quiet rhythm of renewal beneath the waves. Volcanoes are the direct expression of this motion. When one plate dives beneath another, part of it melts and rises again as magma, seeking release through the surface. Islands like Japan, the Philippines, and Indonesia are chains of volcanoes born from this eternal exchange between fire and water. Each eruption adds new land while reshaping what already exists. The earth creates itself in the same breath with which it destroys. Take a slow breath now. The ground beneath you, the oceans that cradle the continents, the air that circles the globe, all are connected through this motion. Nothing stands still. Every mountain that seems eternal is already changing. Every shoreline is already being redrawn. Every stone is already part of its own journey through time. Earthquakes are the moments when the planet releases its built-up tension. They happen when rocks that have resisted motion finally yield and slip past one another. The energy that has been gathering for centuries bursts forth in seconds, reminding us that the stillness of the ground is only a temporary calm. Yet even these sudden movements are part of a larger balance, a way for the planet to release stress and continue its slow, patient transformation. The drifting of continents has shaped not just landscapes but the flow of life itself. When land bridges form, species spread. When oceans open, they divide and evolve apart. The movement of plates has guided evolution as surely as it has guided mountains and seas. Every living thing carries within it the imprint of that motion. From the coral that builds reefs on rising islands to the forests that grow where mountains push through the sky. In places like Iceland, the process of creation is visible in real time. There, the mid-Atlantic ridge rises above the sea, splitting the island in two. You can walk through valleys where new crust is forming beneath your feet. Steam rises from fissures, carrying the scent of minerals and the warmth of the earth's breath. Each step is a reminder that you are walking across a surface that is still being written. A page of the planet's story that has not yet cooled. If you were to look far into the future, millions of years from now, you would see a different world. The Pacific Ocean may close as Asia and the Americas drift together. Africa may split into two separate continents. New mountains will rise, new seas will form, and familiar coastlines will vanish beneath the waves. Maps that seem permanent today will one day be relics of a vanished arrangement, forgotten except by the rocks that once held their shape. The moving skin of the earth teaches the meaning of patience. It shows that change does not always roar, sometimes it whispers. The ground shifts grain by grain, year by year, carrying the history of creation beneath every forest and desert. The continents are not static places but travelers in a never-ending voyage, each carrying the memories of oceans crossed and mountains born. Somewhere beneath you right now, stone is bending. Somewhere else, new crust is forming in the darkness of the sea. Somewhere, a volcano is beginning to stir, and far away another grows quiet. The planet never stops. Its motion is the thread that ties together every mountain, every drop of rain, every living thing. The stillness we feel is only the surface of a world in constant dance. If you listen closely, you might sense it, the slow rhythm of drifting continents, the faint vibration of the ground turning itself inside out, the steady breath of the earth beneath your heartbeat. The moving skin of the planet is not something apart from you. You are part of that motion. You are made of minerals shaped by its heat, carried by its gravity, and changed by its patience. The world beneath you is alive, and it has never stopped becoming new. Beneath the quiet surface of the earth lies a world of fire. Far below the crust, heat rises from the mantle in slow invisible waves, carrying molten rock toward the surface. This hidden realm is not chaos but a vast living system, where stone flows like liquid and pressure builds with the patience of eternity. The crust you walk upon is only the thin, cooled shell of that deeper fire, a fragile skin stretched over a sea of light. Volcanoes are the breathing holes of this inner world. Through them, the planet exhales heat, gas, and minerals from its fiery heart. Some eruptions are sudden and fierce, others patient and continuous, lasting for years or even centuries. Each one reshapes the land, creating new mountains, islands, and fertile soil. The ground that seems solid is in truth a living surface, constantly renewed by the power below. In places where tectonic plates meet, magma rises to fill the spaces between them. When it reaches the air, it cools and hardens into new crust. Layer upon layer of lava builds the foundation of continents, each layer a record of time written in fire. The land beneath your feet was once liquid stone, glowing with the same energy that burns still inside the earth. Some volcanoes lie silent for centuries, their chambers of magma slowly refilling in the dark. Scientists study their shape and measure their tremors, listening for the signs of life below. The smallest quake, the faintest swelling of the ground, can signal that pressure is building again. When the time comes, the volcano breathes, and the surface of the world changes once more. Take a moment to imagine this. Beneath you, molten rock flows through narrow tunnels, glowing red and gold in the darkness. Crystals form within it, growing slowly as the magma cools, each one capturing a moment of the planet's breath. When lava finally reaches the surface, it meets air and hardens instantly, turning into obsidian, volcanic glass so smooth and dark it reflects light like water. In that glass, you can see the memory of the molten river it once was. Some eruptions do not explode but flow. They pour across the land like glowing rivers, spreading slowly, layer after layer, until entire regions are buried beneath rock. These basalt plains, found in places like India and Russia, are the frozen remains of such ancient fire. Once, they glowed brighter than dawn. Now they rest in silence, holding the memory of that long burning beneath their dark surface. Breathe softly now. The air you are breathing carries traces of volcanic gases from eruptions that happened centuries ago. The carbon, sulfur, and oxygen released into the sky travel the world before settling again into soil and sea. Volcanoes connect every layer of the planet, the deep mantle, the crust, the atmosphere, and even the life that depends on it all. Every forest, every ocean, every living creature is touched by the breath of the fire beneath. There are volcanoes hidden beneath ice. In places like Iceland and Antarctica, heat rises from the mantle to melt glaciers from below. When the magma meets ice, the sudden release of steam creates eruptions unlike any other. Water and fire combine in violent harmony, shaping new land even as they destroy the old. From this strange union come vast plateaus of cooled lava and glassy ridges that glitter in the cold sunlight. Some volcanoes hide beneath the ocean. They rise from the seafloor in darkness, building mountains that never see the light of day. When they grow high enough, they break through the surface, creating islands that steam and harden under the open sky. Each island is a message from the deep earth, a reminder that creation begins far below, in a world we cannot see. In Hawaii, you can walk on the skin of such creation. There, molten rock flows gently from fissures, spreading in slow rivers that cool into solid black stone. The air smells of minerals and salt, the heat rising from the ground in visible waves. This island chain is built by a single hot spot in the mantle. A plume of rising magma that stays fixed while the Pacific plate drifts overhead. As the plate moves, each new eruption builds another island, leaving a trail of creation across the ocean. When magma cools slowly underground, it forms granite, a stone so strong that it becomes the backbone of mountains. Each grain of quartz and feldspar within it was once molten, glowing deep beneath the surface. To touch granite is to touch fire made solid. The cliffs of Yosemite, the Scottish Highlands, and the Himalayas all carry that memory. They are monuments to patience, reminders that even fire can learn to hold still. Sometimes, the power of the fire beneath is almost beyond comprehension. Supervolcanoes, like the one beneath Yellowstone, hold reservoirs of magma large enough to change the planet's climate if they were to erupt. Though these events are rare, they are part of the Earth's natural rhythm. Between eruptions, the magma chambers breathe slowly, refilling, shifting, and releasing their heat through geysers and hot springs. The rising steam is a quiet sign of the energy that waits below. If you stand beside a geyser, you can hear the heartbeat of the planet. Water trapped in stone heats until it can no longer stay still, then bursts upward in a column of vapor and sound. When the steam fades, the ground exhales a deep sigh and begins to gather strength again. The earth is never still, it only rests between breaths. Each eruption, each plume of steam, each glowing river of lava is part of a vast circulation that connects the surface with the core. The same energy that lights the stars also moves within the planet, rising and cooling in endless cycles. This is why the Earth never grows old. It renews itself from within, carrying the warmth of its creation forward into every moment. In this way, the fire beneath is both a destroyer and a giver of life. It builds the land that animals walk upon and releases the gases that make air and ocean possible. The same volcano that darkens the sky also lays the foundation for forests and fields to grow. Out of destruction comes creation, and from fire comes the soil that feeds life. The next time you see a mountain, remember that it began as a flame. The rock that feels cold in your hand was once part of a molten current deep below. The fire has changed its form, but it has never died. It lives within every stone, every grain of sand, every breath of wind that carries the scent of minerals through the air. Far beneath the crust, deeper than any human has ever reached, the mantle flows like a vast ocean of stone. Its movement is slow beyond imagination, but it is powerful enough to lift mountains and split continents apart. When scientists listen to the planet's heartbeat through the tremors of earthquakes, they can trace how sound waves bend through this hidden sea. What they find is a world of rivers and currents made not of water but of molten rock, drifting upward and sinking down again in cycles that have lasted since the beginning of time. In this world of fire, there are places where rock melts completely, creating immense pools of magma that slowly rise toward the crust. As they move, they dissolve minerals and carry them upward, enriching the surface with elements that once lay buried deep below. Gold, copper, and iron all come from these hidden furnaces. The jewels that sparkle in crowns and the metals that build cities are gifts from the Earth's interior, delivered by the patient hand of magma. Sometimes, the pressure of rising magma meets a weakness in the crust and forces it apart. Cracks open, gases escape, and molten rock surges upward, breaking through the surface. Lava fountains into the air, falling in glowing arcs that light the night sky. These eruptions may seem violent, yet they are simply the Earth's way of breathing. a slow exhalation of energy that must be released. When the eruption ends, the world above is changed, a new landscape, a new chapter written in stone. There are volcanoes that never truly sleep. In places like Mount Etna and Kilauea, the fire beneath flows constantly, shaping the land in real time. The ground trembles, the air smells faintly of sulfur, and the horizon glows red at night. These volcanoes are teachers of patience. They remind us that the same power that can destroy also creates beauty and balance. That life on Earth is possible only because the planet has learned to live with its own fire. Take a slow breath. Feel the warmth of the world beneath you. That warmth is ancient, born from the formation of the planet and kept alive by the quiet decay of elements deep in its core. Every atom that breaks apart in the heart of the Earth releases a whisper of heat. A gift that rises through the mantle to feed volcanoes, geysers, and the gentle warmth of the ground. You are alive because the planet still burns. The fire beneath does not only rise, it also returns. When oceanic plates sink beneath continents, they carry water and sediment into the deep mantle. There, under immense pressure, these materials melt and mix with the rock around them. The cycle begins again, old crust transformed into new magma, destined to rise once more. Nothing is lost in this process. Even destruction is only transformation waiting to happen. Sometimes, the flow of magma creates chambers so vast that they collapse under their own weight. The ground sinks, forming wide depressions called calderas. Over time, these fill with water and become lakes, quiet and reflective. Beneath their calm surfaces, the fire still moves, sending bubbles of gas upward in soft reminders of what lies below. Life flourishes around them, feeding on minerals from the deep. Even in stillness, the planet breathes. There are places where the fire beneath touches the ocean, creating landscapes of extraordinary beauty. On the seafloor, volcanic vents called black smokers release clouds of mineral-rich water into the dark. Around them, strange ecosystems thrive, worms without eyes, crabs with no color, bacteria that feed on heat instead of sunlight. Life in these places is as ancient as the planet itself, a reminder that fire and life have always been intertwined. When lava meets the sea, the meeting is sudden and full of light. Steam rises in great clouds, and the hiss of boiling water fills the air. The molten rock cools into new land, expanding the edges of continents grain by grain. Each encounter between fire and water is a conversation between opposites, a dance that has shaped the planet for billions of years. The result is balance, a world of both flame and tide, each dependent on the other. The air itself carries traces of the Earth's fire. Volcanic eruptions send ash and gases high into the atmosphere, where they travel the globe before settling back to the ground. These fine particles fertilize forests and oceans, feeding the cycles of growth that sustain life. Even distant eruptions shape the weather, cooling the skies or warming them in subtle rhythms that echo the breathing of the planet. Every living thing is touched by this exchange, whether it knows it or not. In ancient times, people saw volcanoes as the mouths of gods, places where the earth spoke directly to the sky. They built myths around the fire beneath, not to explain it away but to honor it. They understood something essential, that the ground they stood on was alive. Today, with all our science, we still feel the same awe. The glow of magma, the sound of thunder within an eruption, the smell of ash after rain. These are not just natural phenomena. They are the voice of a planet that remembers its own birth. Every rock that cools from molten fire carries within it a record of the conditions that shaped it. Scientists read these records like letters from the past, decoding the temperature, pressure, and chemistry of the world that existed when the rock first formed. From this knowledge, they have learned the age of the planet, the rhythm of its magnetic field, and the pattern of its shifting crust. The fire beneath is not just a source of energy, it is a memory, perfectly preserved in stone. When you hold a piece of volcanic rock in your hand, you hold a fragment of the Earth's heart. It may feel cold now, but deep within it lies the story of a molten river, a breath of gas, a pulse of creation. You are touching the product of pressure, patience, and time, the same forces that shaped mountains, islands, and the ground beneath your feet. As night falls and the air grows cooler, the fire beneath continues its quiet work. It moves unseen, shaping the future of the planet grain by grain, layer by layer. The warmth of the world never fades, it only changes form. Somewhere deep below, magma flows like blood through veins of stone, carrying the life of the Earth forward through the endless night. The Earth is not shaped by fire alone. When the flames of its creation quieted, other artists took over: water, wind, and ice, the patient sculptors of time. They work slowly, using the gentlest of gestures to carve mountains, smooth valleys, and carry the memory of ancient stone across continents. Where fire builds, they refine. Where the planet burns, they cool. Together, they form a rhythm that has given the world its beauty. Water was the first to begin. The rains that fell for centuries filled the basins of the young Earth, carving rivers that wound through cooling rock. Each drop carried tiny fragments of stone, wearing the surface smooth and soft. Over time, these rivers became the veins of the planet, flowing toward the oceans, returning again to the sky. The sound of running water is the sound of the Earth remembering how to heal itself. As rivers grew stronger, they cut through mountains, revealing layers of rock that had once been hidden deep below. In canyons and cliffs, you can see the stories they wrote, a million years recorded in bands of color and texture. The Grand Canyon is one such story, a vast open book written by a single river's patient persistence. Every curve, every shadow, is the trace of time passing in the language of stone. Rain and wind work together to smooth the jagged edges of new landscapes. In deserts, wind lifted grains of sand and carried them across the land, sculpting dunes that shift like ocean waves. Each gust reshapes the horizon, moving mountains of sand grain by grain. Though it moves invisibly, wind is one of the most powerful tools of transformation. It erases the marks of violence, polishes the scars of fire, and paints the world in motion. Ice joined the work much later, but its touch was mighty. When the world cooled, glaciers formed and began to move. Slow and unstoppable, they scraped across mountains, carving deep valleys, pushing aside forests and rivers. Beneath their weight, the land bent and cracked. When they melted, they left behind lakes, rich soil, and smooth plains ready for life to grow. The calm landscapes of today were born from that long, frozen labor. Take a slow breath and imagine standing on a glacier. The air is sharp, the silence absolute. Beneath your feet, the ice moves, almost imperceptibly, carrying stones and dust with it. What feels solid is flowing. What looks eternal is slowly changing. Even in the coldest silence, the world continues to breathe. The power of erosion is not destruction but renewal. Each grain of sand, each pebble on a beach, is a fragment of an older world, Mountains crumble not to vanish but to feed the future. The dust carried by wind and water settles elsewhere, becoming the foundation of new land. The planet recycles itself endlessly, turning its own body into art. In deserts, wind carves stone into arches and towers that seem almost alive. These formations are the result of centuries of soft abrasion, the touch of air against rock. Their shapes tell stories of direction, strength, and endurance. When you see a sandstone arch glowing in the sunlight, you are seeing a signature written by the wind, a reminder that even the gentlest forces, given time, can sculpt eternity. On coastlines, waves strike the shore in a rhythm as old as the moon. They carve cliffs, hollow caves, and polish stones smooth enough to reflect the sky. Every tide is a heartbeat of the sea, a pulse that shapes the edge of the world. The hiss of foam and the crash of waves are not just sounds, they are the music of creation continuing its patient work. Sometimes, the sculptors of time work together. Rivers freeze and thaw, expanding in cracks and breaking rock apart. Wind carries snow across peaks, where it melts into streams that flow to the valleys below. Each movement feeds the next, each cycle linked to another. There is no separation between these forces, only a harmony of motion that shapes the planet slowly and beautifully. The soil beneath a forest is made from the same dust that once formed mountains. Every leaf that falls adds to it, mixing with the minerals washed down from the hills. Over time, this soil becomes rich and alive, capable of sustaining new generations of life. The Earth's surface is not static, it grows, decays, and grows again, an endless circle of giving and receiving. If you hold a pebble from a riverbed, you hold the work of 1,000 years. Its edges are smooth because water has turned it in its hands again and again. Each rotation wore away a tiny fragment until what remained was perfect simplicity. This is the quiet genius of erosion, the power to transform chaos into grace. High in the mountains, glaciers still move. They are slower now, smaller than before, but they carry the same quiet determination. They melt and freeze in rhythm with the seasons, feeding rivers that cross the continents. Even in retreat, they continue to shape the world, carving valleys where future forests will grow. The work of the sculptors never ends. Take another breath. Listen for the sounds of these patient forces, the whisper of wind through stone, the slow crack of ice, the hush of a wave returning to the sea. Each sound is a sentence in the Earth's story, a reminder that creation is not sudden but eternal. The planet is an artist that never stops, reshaping itself with calm, deliberate grace. Beneath every quiet valley, there lies the memory of a river that once ran free. Even when the water has gone, its shape remains, etched into the land like a signature of movement. The hills curve to match its path, the soil remembers its flow, and the plants that now grow there feed on the minerals it left behind. Time does not erase what water creates, it only changes its form. When rain falls on a mountain, it begins a journey that may last centuries. It seeps through cracks in the rock, carrying with it tiny grains of mineral and fragments of history. Deep below, it gathers into hidden rivers that move silently through the dark, carving tunnels that will one day become caves. These rivers are the unseen architects of the underground world, shaping beauty in places that may never feel the sun. Caves are among the most delicate creations of erosion. Drop by drop, mineral-laden water leaves behind thin traces of stone that grow downward as stalactites and upward as stalagmites. Over millennia, they meet to form pillars that resemble the columns of forgotten temples. The air inside a cave feels ancient and still, as though time has slowed to watch its own reflection. When you stand in such a place, you are standing in the presence of patience itself. In the open air, the sculptors of time continue their quiet art. In the high deserts of Utah, wind carves delicate arches that balance on narrow pillars of rock. In the vast expanse of the Sahara, dunes roll like frozen waves, shifting their shapes as if they were alive. Each sunrise paints them anew, and each gust of wind writes another verse in their endless poem. The landscape is never the same twice, yet its rhythm never changes. Even the smallest movements can shape eternity. A single raindrop striking the same spot over thousands of years can hollow out stone. The weight of roots pushing through cracks can split mountains. The freeze and thaw of water can fracture cliffs. These tiny acts, repeated endlessly, remind us that change does not need force, it only needs time. The ocean, too, is a master sculptor. Along the coasts of Ireland and Norway, waves crash against cliffs of basalt, cutting them into pillars and towers that rise from the sea like organ pipes. Beneath the water, currents carve canyons deeper than any on land, where light fades to darkness and strange creatures drift among walls of stone. The sea works in silence, but its patience is infinite. Every shoreline is temporary. The line where land meets ocean is drawn anew each day by the tides. Shifting with the pull of the moon, storms redraw it again, pulling away beaches, shaping new coves, and leaving behind treasures of coral, shell, and driftwood. The boundary between land and sea is not a border. It is a conversation that has been happening since the first drop of rain touched the first grain of sand. The sculptors of time are also healers. After a volcano erupts, it is water, wind, and seed that bring life back to the barren land. Rains dissolve minerals from ash. Rivers spread them across plains. And winds carry the seeds of hardy plants to take root in the new soil. Slowly, green returns to gray, and silence gives way to the hum of life. Destruction is never the end, it is an invitation to begin again. In frozen regions, glaciers carry stones in their icy grip, dragging them across the landscape. When they melt, they leave behind scattered boulders far from their origins. These erratic stones stand as quiet witnesses to journeys made without witnesses. They are reminders that the planet is always in motion, even when we cannot see it. The dust of deserts travels the world as well. Winds lift it high into the atmosphere and carry it across oceans. Dust from the Sahara feeds the forests of the Amazon with iron and phosphorus, linking two continents in a relationship older than humanity itself. Every gust of wind carries nutrients, history, and the breath of distant lands. The earth is one continuous cycle of exchange, a single living system. Erosion creates more than beauty, it creates balance. By wearing down mountains, it returns minerals to the oceans, where they feed microscopic plants that produce the oxygen you breathe. The same forces that carve canyons also sustain the air around you. Each drop of rain, each gust of wind, each grain of dust plays a role in the delicate harmony that allows life to exist. When you walk along a riverbank, notice how the stones beneath your feet vary in shape and color. Each one tells a story of distance traveled, of water and time. Some are smooth from the river's touch. Others still hold the roughness of their origin. Together, they are a mosaic of patience. You are walking on history, shaped not by force but by endless persistence. In every grain of sand there lies a memory of something greater. Once it was part of a mountain, a volcano, or a cliff by the sea. It has been carried by rivers, lifted by wind, and reshaped by waves. It has traveled farther than any creature. Yet it never loses its identity. Each grain is a record of time so long that no clock could measure it. The sculptors of time remind us that creation is not always loud or sudden. Sometimes it is quiet and invisible, a slow unfolding that transforms the world in ways too gentle to notice. The same patience that smooths a pebble also grows a tree, moves a glacier, and heals a landscape. The planet's beauty is born from this quiet persistence, the art of change performed in silence. Take a breath and imagine standing on the edge of a canyon at dawn. The air is still cool, the light soft against stone walls that glow gold and red. You are looking at the result of millions of years of work, every curve carved by water, every color laid down by wind and sun. In that moment, you are seeing time itself, made visible and alive. The sculptors of time continue their endless labor even now. The next drop of rain will fall. The next wave will crash. The next gust of wind will move a single grain of sand. And the story will go on. The earth does not rush. And it never tires. It creates through movement and patience, through touch and breath. The world we live in is the result of that devotion, a masterpiece shaped not by force but by the calm persistence of time. Beneath the calm surface of the earth lies another world, one that few have seen but all are connected to. It is a realm of silence and darkness, where rivers run without light and crystals grow without wind or rain. Every drop of water that sinks into the ground begins a journey into this secret domain, carrying with it the memory of the surface. The hidden worlds below are as alive as the forests and oceans above, each layer telling a story written in shadow and stone. The first thing you notice when you enter a cave is the silence. It is not the absence of sound, but a different kind of quiet, a stillness so deep that you can hear your own heartbeat. In that silence, water drips from the ceiling, one drop at a time, carving delicate shapes that have taken thousands of years to form. Stalactites hang like frozen rain, and stalagmites rise like slow-growing trees of stone. Every one of them is a record of patience, built from the slow union of water and time. Deep inside these caves, the air is cool and damp. Light moves differently here, touching the rock in soft reflections that seem to breathe. When you shine a light across the walls, they glimmer faintly with tiny crystals, calcite, quartz, and gypsum, minerals that once floated in water and now sleep in the stone. They are the stars of an underground sky, glowing in the darkness that never ends. Some caves stretch for hundreds of kilometers, winding through the earth like hidden veins. Rivers flow through them, shaping tunnels and chambers that echo with the sound of distant water. These underground rivers connect mountains to oceans, carrying minerals and nutrients along the way. They are the unseen lifelines of the planet, weaving the surface and the deep together in a single, unbroken flow. Take a moment to imagine this vast hidden network beneath your feet. It is not empty space, but a living labyrinth. Tiny creatures thrive here, blind fish, translucent shrimp, delicate insects that have never known sunlight. They navigate by touch and vibration, guided by the faintest movement of water. Their world is slow, quiet, and perfect in its balance. There are caves made entirely of crystals. In Mexico, the Cave of the Crystals holds some of the largest natural formations ever discovered, beams of selenite as tall as houses, shimmering white in the heat. The air inside is so hot and humid that a human can only stay for a few minutes. but the crystals have been growing there for hundreds of thousands of years. Each one is a monument to the persistence of beauty in the most extreme conditions. Elsewhere, in the frozen regions of the world, there are caves carved by ice. They form when meltwater cuts channels through glaciers, creating blue corridors that glow like trapped sunlight. When you step inside, the walls seem alive, shifting and breathing as the glacier moves. The air is sharp and clean, carrying the scent of ancient water. Standing there feels like standing inside time itself, surrounded by the memory of winters older than civilization. The hidden worlds below are not only caves. They are the roots of mountains, the hollow spaces where magma once flowed, the deep aquifers that hold the planet's water. In these places, heat and pressure transform ordinary rock into marble, quartzite, and other metamorphic wonders. The veins of gold and silver that humans have mined for centuries were formed here. Born from water mixing with molten minerals in the darkness, every glittering metal and precious stone is a fragment of this silent creation. Even deeper, below the reach of water and light, lies a world shaped entirely by heat. Here the mantle begins, a place where rock is solid and fluid at the same time. Slow waves of motion rise and fall through it, carrying the planet's inner warmth toward the surface. Scientists call this movement convection, but it feels more like breath. The mantle breathes over spans of time so vast that our entire history would pass in one of its slow exhalations. Take a breath now, slowly and deeply. The air you inhale has traveled through caves and soil, across mountains and oceans. It carries particles of ancient dust, fragments of old fires, traces of volcanic gas. You are breathing the memory of the hidden worlds below, a connection to everything that moves in darkness. These underground worlds are not apart from life, they sustain it. The minerals that feed forests and oceans rise from them. The water that fills rivers and clouds begins its journey in their depths. Even the magnetic field that shields the Earth from cosmic storms is born in the molten core beneath. The unseen and the seen are one continuous whole, each dependent on the other. There are legends in many cultures that speak of underworlds, not as places of fear but as realms of origin. Ancient peoples believed that the first humans came from beneath the ground, emerging into the light as the earth itself gave birth to them. In a way, this is true. The carbon in our bodies, the calcium in our bones, the iron in our blood, all were forged in the depths of the planet. We are, quite literally, children of stone and fire. If you could stand at the edge of a magma chamber and look down, you would see the glow of the planet's living core reflected in liquid stone. The heat would shimmer around you, the air vibrating with quiet energy. That light, that warmth, has never gone out. It is the same fire that shaped the first land and continues to move the continents today. The world beneath you is alive, vast, and full of wonder. The hidden worlds below remind us that silence is not emptiness. In the stillness of caves, in the darkness beneath mountains, in the quiet depth of stone, there is motion and growth. The planet is always changing, even where we cannot see. Beneath every step you take, the earth continues its endless work, breathing, building, remembering. The deeper you travel beneath the earth, the more the familiar world fades away. The scent of air changes, the sound of your footsteps softens, and the notion of time begins to dissolve. Down here, distance is measured not in miles but in patience. The rocks you pass are ancient beyond imagination, older than mountains, older than oceans, and in their silence, they hold the memory of everything that has ever lived above them. The pressure in these depths is immense. Every layer of stone presses upon the one beneath it, compressing minerals into new forms. Under this weight, carbon becomes diamond, and limestone becomes marble. The earth transforms itself continuously, turning fragility into strength, impermanence into endurance. The beauty of the surface is born from the discipline of the deep. In certain places, groundwater moves through narrow cracks, dissolving rock and carrying minerals far from where they began. This water is the bloodstream of the underground world, endlessly cycling, endlessly renewing. It carries messages between layers of stone, exchanging warmth, energy, and trace elements that will one day rise again to the surface. When it finally emerges as a spring, cool and clear, it carries with it the quiet essence of everything it has touched. If you stand beside a natural spring and watch the water flow, you are witnessing the return of the underground to the light. That stream may have taken hundreds or even thousands of years to find its way back to the surface. In that time, it has gathered the wisdom of the deep earth, purified by stone and darkness. Each drop is a piece of the planet's memory, offered freely to the open world. There are places where the underground breathes more openly, where heat escapes in gentle sighs. Steam rises through vents in volcanic regions, filling the air with warmth and the scent of minerals. Geysers erupt in rhythmic bursts, sending columns of water into the sky before falling again as rain. These places are where the hidden worlds and the surface world meet, exchanging energy in perfect balance. The earth speaks here, not with words but with motion. The creatures that live in darkness have adapted to its embrace. In the depths of limestone caves, there are fish with no eyes, whose skin glows faintly white in the dark. There are beetles and spiders that navigate by sensing vibrations rather than sight, and bacteria that feed on the minerals carried by water. These beings live without sunlight, yet they are sustained by the heat and chemistry of the earth itself. Their existence is proof that life does not rely only on light, but also on warmth and time. Even deeper still, life persists in places once thought impossible, miles below the surface, where the heat should be unbearable and the pressure too great. Microbes thrive in microscopic films of water trapped in rock. They feed on hydrogen, sulfur, and iron, elements born of the Earth's hidden fire. These organisms live slowly, dividing perhaps once in a century, but they endure. They form what scientists call the deep biosphere, a vast, invisible network of life that may outweigh all the life on the surface combined. This hidden biosphere changes the way we understand existence. It reveals that life does not sit on top of the earth but within it. Woven into every layer, every mineral, every breath of heat, the planet is alive from its core to its clouds. A single system of creation and renewal. We walk on its surface, but we are also part of its interior, connected to its deep pulse in ways we can barely imagine. Take a slow breath and picture the path of that air as it enters your lungs. The oxygen you inhale may have been released by algae growing in the sea, nourished by minerals that once rose from volcanic vents. The carbon you exhale will sink into soil and stone, returning underground to feed the next generation of life. Even your breath is part of this hidden exchange between the surface and the deep. In some ancient myths, the underworld was seen as a place of wisdom rather than punishment. It was where souls and stories were kept safe until they were ready to rise again. In a way, the Earth's interior serves the same purpose. It preserves what would otherwise be lost: fossils, minerals, ancient water, and the chemical seeds of new beginnings. The underground is not a place of endings, it is a place of transformation. When you touch the ground, you are touching a doorway to this other world. Beneath your hand lies miles of stone, moving so slowly that its motion feels like stillness. Yet within that stillness, entire systems are alive, exchanging heat and energy, carrying messages between the heart of the planet and its surface. The hidden worlds below are not beneath us, they are within us. Part of the same living body. Even the Earth's magnetic field, the invisible force that guides compasses and shields the planet from cosmic radiation, originates deep below. It is generated by the motion of molten metal in the outer core. A vast river of liquid iron that spins as the planet turns. Without that field, the solar wind would strip away our atmosphere, and life as we know it would disappear. The quiet movement of the inner earth protects everything above it. There is a strange comfort in knowing this. We live our lives on a thin crust of stone. Yet beneath us lies an entire universe of motion, heat, and quiet endurance. It reminds us that stability is an illusion, that life depends on unseen forces working in harmony below. Every mountain, every drop of rain, every breath of wind is connected to the deep pulse of the planet. The hidden worlds below are not places of mystery alone. They are the foundation of everything. They are where the planet dreams, where its memories sleep, where its next forms of life are already taking shape. The silence that fills these depths is not emptiness, it is the sound of the earth listening to itself, holding space for everything that will come next. Long before there was an earth, there was dust. In the darkness between stars, clouds of gas and particles drifted, carrying the ashes of suns that had lived and died billions of years earlier. Each fragment of that dust contained the memory of explosions vast enough to create every element that now exists. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the gold in the veins of the planet, all were born in the heat of distant stars. When those stars reached the end of their lives, they scattered their essence into the void, and from that chaos, a new world began. The story of geology is also the story of the cosmos. Every rock, every grain of sand, every drop of ocean water began as stardust, carried across space by gravity's patient pull. Over time, this dust gathered into a swirling disk around a young star, the Sun. Within that disk, particles collided and merged, growing into pebbles, then boulders, then planets. The Earth was one of these. A child of both fire and time. The memory of its birth still glows inside its molten core, where the heat of cosmic creation has never faded. When the planet was young, it shared the sky with a companion. Astronomers believe that a smaller world, roughly the size of Mars, once struck the newborn Earth. The impact melted both bodies, scattering molten rock into orbit, where it slowly gathered into a glowing sphere, the Moon. The scars of that collision remain deep within the planet's crust, and the balance it created still shapes every tide and every season. The Moon stabilizes the Earth's tilt, keeps its climate gentle, and pulls at its oceans like a steady hand. Without that ancient impact, life as we know it might never have appeared. Every night, when you look at the Moon, you are seeing the reflection of Earth's own lost body. The two worlds are made of the same material, bound by a silent partnership that has lasted for billions of years. Their relationship is written in light and shadow, the gentle rising of tides, the rhythm of growth in coral reefs, the cycles of sleep in living things. The connection between the Earth and its Moon is one of the most enduring bonds in the cosmos. A cosmic heartbeat that beats softly through every tide and wave. Take a slow breath and imagine standing on the early Earth, looking up at that newborn moon. The sky would have glowed with meteors and swirling clouds of dust. And the moon would have loomed enormous, 10 times larger than it appears now. Its light would have shimmered across oceans of magma, reflecting on a world still half molten. That same light, after all this time, still falls upon the sea tonight. The elements that form your body have traveled across both space and time. Hydrogen, the simplest and oldest, was born in the first seconds after the universe began. Carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen were forged in the hearts of ancient stars. Gold and platinum came from the collisions of neutron stars. Moments of unimaginable violence that scattered heavy elements like seeds across the galaxy. Everything that exists on Earth, every stone, every breath, every thought, is made from the remnants of those celestial fires. When meteors strike the planet, they bring reminders of that origin. Fragments of iron, crystals of olivine, and tiny grains of diamond fall from the sky, carrying within them the chemistry of distant worlds. Some of these meteorites are older than the Earth itself, relics of the time before planets. Scientists study them to understand what the universe was like in its youth. But on a deeper level, they remind us of something more profound, that we are part of the same story as the stars. The dust of space still touches us every day. Each year, thousands of tons of microscopic particles drift down through the atmosphere, settling gently on land and sea. These grains glimmer in the upper air, creating the faint bands of light known as noctilucent clouds. They are cosmic fingerprints, reminders that even now, the universe is still building and sharing its material. Every handful of soil, every drop of rain contains traces of the cosmos. Far beyond the reach of our sight, the same processes that created the Earth continue. Stars are still being born in great nebulae of dust and gas. New planets are forming around distant suns, their surfaces glowing as they cool. Somewhere out there, another world like ours may already be beginning its own story of fire and stone. The cosmos never stops creating, it only changes form, transforming light into matter, matter into life, and life into memory. Volcanic ash, ocean salt, mountain granite, human breath, all of these carry the same atoms once released by a dying star. The patterns may differ, but the substance is the same. The boundaries between space and Earth, between past and present, are illusions. You are not separate from the universe, you are its continuation. Its expression in a different shape. The same forces that sculpt galaxies also flow quietly through your veins. If you close your eyes and listen, you might feel it, the quiet hum of cosmic energy moving through everything. The vibration of being itself. It is the same rhythm that drives the planet's magnetic field. The same pulse that pushes continents across oceans. The same whisper that once lit the stars. The universe does not speak in language, yet it tells the same story over and over. Creation, transformation, renewal. The universe leaves its marks not only in stars and planets but also in the smallest corners of the Earth. Tiny crystals buried deep within the oldest rocks contain traces of radioactive decay that began when the planet first formed. These microscopic clocks measure time in billions of years, whispering of an age when the continents were molten and the air too thick to breathe. To hold one of these crystals is to hold the memory of the cosmos itself. A fragment of the universe's long, slow unfolding. Across the deserts of the world, meteorites rest quietly among the stones. They are pieces of the solar system's early days. each one a traveler that has crossed both space and time. Some are iron, heavy and dark, formed in the hearts of long-vanished worlds. Others are stony and light, flecked with metal and carbon, carrying the same ingredients that one day gave rise to life. Their surfaces are burned and blackened by their passage through the atmosphere. But inside they remain untouched, holding the cold silence of the void. The cosmic connection extends far beyond the ground beneath us. Dust from the Sahara drifts across the ocean to feed the forests of South America, bringing with it iron and phosphorus forged in ancient stars. Volcanic ash from Pacific islands settles on glaciers in the Arctic, darkening their surfaces and hastening their melt. The Earth is not an isolated body, it is part of a continuous exchange that spans oceans, continents, and the deep currents of space. Even light itself is part of this communion. The sunlight that warms your skin left the core of the sun 8 minutes ago. But the energy it carries was born thousands of years earlier, when hydrogen atoms fused into helium deep within the solar furnace. Each photon is a messenger of that ancient process, carrying warmth across 93 million miles of emptiness. When it reaches you, it becomes life, food for plants, energy for oceans, warmth for your breath. You are, in every moment, living on light. The wind, too, has cosmic roots. It begins as uneven heating of the planet by the sun. But the air that moves across mountains and seas is part of an older rhythm. The gases that make up the atmosphere, oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, were released by volcanoes billions of years ago, mixed and balanced by the work of life itself. Every gust of wind carries atoms that have been circulating since before humanity began. Atoms that once drifted through the lungs of other creatures, through forests long gone, through oceans that no longer exist. Take a slow breath now. The air around you may have passed through the leaves of a tree on another continent, across the desert, or through the spiraling storm of a faraway ocean. Inhale, and you are sharing a moment with the entire planet. The exchange is invisible but complete, each breath both personal and cosmic, both fleeting and eternal. The rocks of the Earth record not only their own movements but the touch of the stars. In some places, layers of sediment contain traces of ancient supernovae, the remnants of distant explosions that dusted the Earth with rare elements. These layers mark times when the sky itself reached down and changed the chemistry of the planet. In the shimmer of those particles, we find proof that space and Earth are not separate realms but one continuous story of energy and matter. Even the direction of the planet's magnetic field, born in its molten core, is connected to the cosmos. The magnetic lines stretch outward into space, interacting with the solar wind, shaping auroras that dance at the poles. When the charged particles from the sun strike the atmosphere, they light the sky in colors that seem alive. Those curtains of green and violet are a visible bridge between Earth and the stars, a meeting of heat, light, and magnetism that links our world to the wider universe. In the ancient past, meteors may have brought more than just minerals. Some scientists believe that they carried the organic molecules that became the seeds of life. Amino acids, the building blocks of proteins, have been found on meteorites that landed on Earth millions of years ago. The possibility that life began with a gift from the heavens ties every living thing to the stars even more deeply. Perhaps the first spark of life on this planet was not an accident of chemistry alone, but a continuation of a pattern written across the universe. Everything that exists on Earth is a conversation between matter and time. The oceans rise and fall. The continents drift. Species come and go, but the elements remain, endlessly rearranged. The calcium in the bones of a whale may one day rest in the limestone of a mountain. The iron in a meteorite may find its way into your blood. There is no boundary between what is cosmic and what is human, there is only transformation. When you look at the night sky, you are seeing both the past and the future. The light from distant galaxies began its journey long before life existed here. And by the time it reaches your eyes, those stars may already be gone. Yet their light still lives, touching your world in this moment. The universe moves through time like a slow river, carrying with it everything that ever was and everything that will be. There is a kind of peace in knowing that we are made of the same substance as the stars. The hydrogen that burns in the sun also flows through your body as water. The carbon that fills the air surrounds every breath you take. You are not an observer of the cosmos. You are part of its unfolding. A living fragment of its endless design. When you close your eyes and rest, you are returning to that rhythm, the quiet pulse of the universe breathing through you. Night settles gently upon the world, and the rhythm of the planet slows to match your breath. The wind softens, the trees grow still, and even the ocean seems to rest. Yet beneath the quiet, the earth continues its patient work. Mountains rise by the width of a grain. Rivers carve their paths in silence. And deep within, magma flows like the slowest heartbeat in the universe. The world never sleeps, but in its calm persistence, it teaches us how to. Stone has always spoken, though not in words. Its language is weight and warmth, silence and memory. When you touch a rock, you are feeling time condensed into form, the memory of heat, pressure, and endless transformation. Each crack, each vein, each grain of mineral holds a trace of what the planet has endured and what it has become. The whisper of stone is not a sound but a presence. The feeling that something vast and ancient is listening with you. Take a slow breath and imagine lying upon the ground. Beneath you, miles of stone press softly upward, supporting the weight of oceans, forests, and mountains. Every layer is older than any living creature. Yet all are connected to the same pulse. The warmth of the planet seeps upward through the crust, a reminder that even in stillness there is motion. The ground beneath you is alive. In the vast deserts of the world, stones sing in the wind. When gusts sweep across the dunes, the grains vibrate together, creating deep, resonant tones that echo through the air. Travelers once called it the voice of the earth, believing the land itself was alive. The sound rises and falls like breathing, an invisible music created by sand, air, and time. To listen is to hear the earth humming to itself. In mountains, stone tells another story. When sunlight warms a cliff face during the day, the rock expands. As night falls and the air cools, it contracts. This slow rhythm repeats endlessly, a breathing of stone that lasts for ages. Over time, the cycles of heat and cold cause the rock to fracture, releasing new minerals to the wind and rain. Even the hardest stone knows how to yield, breaking not in violence but in acceptance of change. Water remembers this whisper too. It moves through stone, carving, dissolving, and nourishing as it goes. In its patience, it teaches the art of persistence without force. A drop falling in the same place for 1,000 years can shape a cavern of breathtaking beauty. The Earth's gentlest element becomes its most enduring sculptor, carrying messages from the mountains to the sea. The whisper of stone can be found even in the smallest moments. It is in the warmth of pebbles that have lain all day in the sun, in the coolness of soil after rain, in the way your footsteps echo softly against a rocky path. The planet speaks through sensations rather than words, reminding you that you belong to it, that every breath and every heartbeat is shared with the ground beneath you. If you listen closely enough, you might sense that stone remembers not only the passage of time but the feeling of it. The layers of sediment that form a cliff remember the weight of oceans that once pressed upon them. The marble in old temples remembers the pressure that turned its body from limestone to crystal. The granite beneath cities remembers the fire that once flowed within it. The world has felt everything: heat, cold, silence, sound, and through it all, it has endured. Take another breath. The air you draw in touches every part of this story. It passes over mountains and seas, through forests and fields, across continents, and back to you. Each breath connects you to everything the planet has ever been. You are inhaling the whispers of stone, the exhalations of oceans, the soft sighs of forests. You are part of a single living rhythm that has no beginning and no end. The planet's quiet endurance offers a reflection of your own. Like the Earth, you have known change, pressure, and transformation. You have endured storms and heat, silence and movement. You have been shaped by time, refined by experience, and yet beneath it all, your core remains strong. The whisper of stone is also your whisper, the reminder that patience is power and stillness is strength. Somewhere deep below, the molten heart of the world continues to turn. It sends warmth through the layers of rock, through the soil, and into the night air. The same warmth that shaped continents now touches your skin as a soft breeze. It is an unbroken connection, a thread of heat that binds the depths of the earth to the quiet of your own being. If you close your eyes, you can feel it. The pulse beneath you is steady and ancient. It carries no urgency, no hurry, only a calm certainty that all things change in their own time. The whisper of stone tells you that nothing is ever truly still. Yet everything is at peace. It invites you to rest within that peace, to feel yourself held by the same force that carries mountains and oceans through eternity. As the night deepens, the stars above mirror the quiet brilliance of the rocks below. Both sky and earth are made of the same matter, glowing in different forms, whispering the same eternal message. The longer you stay in stillness, the more you can feel their conversation, one carried through the hum of the planet's core, the other through the soft shimmer of distant light. Between them, you exist, suspended in the calm breathing of the universe. Stone teaches us about time in ways nothing else can. It moves at a pace so slow that a single moment feels like eternity. It teaches that growth does not always mean movement and that endurance is not resistance but acceptance. The earth does not hurry to heal itself, it trusts its rhythm. Every cycle of erosion, every layer of sediment, every mountain that rises and falls is an act of patience written into the structure of the planet. When you lie down on the ground and close your eyes, you begin to sense that patience. The slow release of warmth from the soil feels like an embrace. The pulse beneath your body steady and sure. You can almost hear it now, the deep, slow beat that has never stopped since the earth was born. It does not speak in words or thoughts but in vibration. A pulse that matches your own heartbeat when you are quiet enough to notice. If you could see time the way the earth does, you would not fear change. You would see every ending as a beginning, every loss as part of a greater balance. Mountains crumble so rivers can flow. Forests fall so soil can renew. Ice melts so oceans can breathe again. The whisper of stone reminds you that nothing is wasted, that even in decay there is creation. The planet itself has died 1,000 times, and each time it has returned to life more intricate and alive. Breathe slowly now, feeling the rise and fall of your chest like the tides of the sea. The same gravity that guides the oceans moves through you. The same carbon that shapes mountains flows in your blood. You are not separate from the world around you. You are its reflection. Every heartbeat is a continuation of the planet's rhythm. Every breath a quiet echo of the atmosphere's ancient sigh. In the oldest rocks on Earth, scientists have found traces of water from the planet's first oceans, locked away for billions of years. That same water now moves through clouds and rivers, through plants and bodies, through your lungs as mist. The cycle is endless. Every molecule of water you breathe has seen the rise and fall of civilizations, the birth of continents, the glow of stars fading into darkness. Nothing is ever truly gone, it only changes form, waiting to return. The whisper of stone carries an invitation to remember where you come from. Long before there were cities or languages, there was this steady heartbeat beneath your feet. The first humans felt it too, listening to the tremble of the ground during storms, the rumble of distant mountains. They built their myths around it, calling it the voice of gods or spirits. They were right in one sense. The planet itself is sacred, alive with motion, memory, and mindless grace. When you walk through forests or along the edge of the sea, you are walking across the bones of ancient worlds. The sand beneath your feet was once mountain. The air you breathe was once stone. And the sunlight that warms your face was once trapped in magma. The earth has given you everything: shelter, water, breath, warmth, and asks for nothing in return but your awareness. To notice its beauty is to give it meaning. As the stars wheel overhead, the light of distant galaxies touches the same stones that lie beneath you. In that meeting of sky and ground, something complete is formed. The earth looks upward and the heavens look down, and in between them rests the quiet pulse of life. You are part of that balance, the point where the vastness of space meets the patience of stone. Now let the body soften. Let the thoughts fade. Let yourself feel the weight of the planet beneath you. Solid and kind, it has carried you every moment of your life without complaint. It will carry you through the night, through your dreams, through every sunrise still to come. There is nothing you must do. The earth is turning, and it will keep turning. The whisper of stone continues long after you stop listening. It flows through soil and mountain, through your pulse and breath, through every movement of wind and water. It is the quiet reminder that everything you are is part of something vast, steady, and eternal. The earth cradles you as it has cradled everything before you, holding you in its rhythm, teaching you the one truth it has always known, that to exist is to belong, and to rest is to return home. Sleep now. Let your breath match the planet's breath. Your heart follow its patient beat. The world below will keep you safe. The stars above will keep you company. And between them, you will find peace. The earth remembers, and tonight, it holds you in its memory.